Fuck yes, welcome to After the Hype with me, your host, as always, Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is Jonathan Hardesty.
Woo!
Ron James.
Fuck yes!
And Chewie Darso.
What is a men's rally?
Now I have to leave something from the beginning. Thank you.
No, you don't.
That's true. It's going to be more of a non sequitur. Special guest today, we have Sean Buono. Am I pronouncing it correct?
Buono.
Buono. I've known Sean for years.
Oh my god, I've always said your name is Buono.
So have I, yeah. See,
I know, but we dropped the
I'm
A like
sorry.
in the 17th century.
It's actually pronounced boner.
Sean Boner.
See,
At least I can
you
get
said
one,
it's
bitches.
Bono?
last night in the chat, I was like, Buono? Buono?
It's that you really
I
throws
know, it throws
everybody.
everyone. I mean, it's like Sunny Bono, but we're better skiers. Like, is that like too?
You don't go into third
Had to get that
countries.
joke in again.
Too soon.
You don't go into third world countries and give them sandwiches and talk about how wonderful you are.
That's
That's the other Bono.
always.
No.
Like only on the weekends. Like
Yeah.
that just happens.
Yeah. But yeah, I've known Sean for years. He's listened to our show. We've actually mentioned him on many episodes.
Huge
Thank
fan.
you to Sean.
We have.
Like major fan. Love the pod.
And I
Thank
just
you.
realized today, it's like, wow, thanks to Facebook, I don't have to say any of my friends' last names anymore. It's like, well, shit. That's going to be an awkward conversation.
Or like remember anybody's like email address or anything like that.
phone numbers, all that stuff. It's fucking
Facebook
gone.
has really made it so I don't really need to remember anyone's birthday.
Yeah,
I know,
it's
and
weird.
it terrifies me because I'm like, what if I like delete Facebook and I have Alzheimer's? I'll never remember anybody's celebrations.
Yeah.
It's awful.
And then other guests today from our Femme Ghostbusters movie, we have Michele Dunn back.
Hi, it's pronounced boner.
Michele Boner.
We're like twinsies.
Do you
I'm
ski?
the Mary.
Oh, already with the quotes for this one. I'm so excited for this episode.
Hi guys, hi to all my fans. Really good to be back with you.
Yeah.
Hashtag boner.
Yeah.
Hashtag boner.
Yeah, that was our most highly downloaded episode.
Wow.
Yeah, people really wanted to hear us make
We're
fun
not
of
sure if it's
Ghostbusters.
just because of you or if it's because of the rage towards the movie.
Yeah, we're gonna give you all the credit though because we're nice.
I have Kylie Jenner's fan base, so that you're welcome.
Oh, there you go.
I was recently taught who that was.
Have a Pepsi and calm down.
I was like, why is she famous? It's even less of a reason than Kim Kardashian.
One has a lip
What?
kit and one has a Pepsi.
Wonderful. All right, well, let's move into a where have you been doing? I will go first. I have been reading Superman and Action Comics. And if you have not been reading Superman or Action Comics right now, you are just doing yourself a disservice. It has been the best it has been in a very, very long time. Superman Reborn, the most recent story that was all about the merging of New 52 Superman and Rebirth Superman, was both amazing, emotional, and one of the greatest things I've read since Rebirth has started. Go pick these books up if you've ever enjoyed comics ever, or even remotely enjoyed Superman. This is the story that will bring you into it. It's so, so good.
Even if you don't, I think it's magical enough.
Oh, it's so good.
I
And
haven't been reading it, but I like the covers.
Yeah, and the main villain is Mixie Pitalik, which you don't see like at all anymore. But thanks to Supergirl, I finally.
He's on Supergirl,
He
yeah.
is,
He
yeah.
was so
and thanks
cute
to
on
Facebook,
Supergirl.
you don't have to say his name.
Well, thanks to Supergirl, I now know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Mixie Pitalik.
That was a good episode.
It was a
Yeah.
really good episode. That guy was great.
Yeah.
Supergirl, I am your one true love.
Yeah, they're knocking out of the park with their villains this year.
Yeah.
It's been really good. But that's it. I'm not going to say anything else because I don't really want to spoil too many more things in there. But seriously, it's the best it's been in a very long time. Very exciting for DC fans.
You're a huge nerd, Brian. I can't believe what a big nerd you are, and you read comic books. I've been
Nerdiness
reading
is
Venom.
next to
It's really good too. They finally made Venom an interesting character again, and he's like, I always loved the concept and the artwork, but he never did anything cool. And now he's, they're writing it in a way that like this new host is actually talking to the Venom character.
Who is Venom right now?
Lee something. It's a
So-
totally new character.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did it stop being Flash?
Just before this new
Oh.
run, yeah, it was Flash Thompson for a long time. Space Venom. He's kind of an evil entity again, which is cool.
Yeah. I liked the Venom planet. That was cool.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You're going to edit this out, right?
Sure. Yeah. Just us. Who wants to listen about
Sidetrack.
comics? Chewie, what about you?
I haven't been able to watch too many new things this week because I've been prepping for my Burbank art fair that I'm in. So that's my plug / where I've been doing. I didn't think I was going to get in with my friend Laura Solomon, and then we got approved. So we're going to have a booth at the Burbank Art Fair this coming weekend, if you guys can attend, and we're going to be selling our photography. Her photography is largely based on her mannequin, Beatrix, and my photography is kind of just based on my observationalness, I guess.
Lots of nature.
Yeah, lots of nature, lots of kind of like things standing on their own, looking somber out in the space, because I don't know, I find that very appealing in an
None of
artistic
me.
setting.
I'm very upset about this.
Well,
Well, she only takes pictures of nice-looking things.
there was a couple of you that I was thinking about,
sad.
but honestly, I just stayed away from photos of people's actual faces because
You
I
look
didn't want
somber
to.
all the time, standing
Yeah.
off to the distance.
That's that's how I usually am.
Yeah.
It'd be even better if you were somewhere tiny in all of her photos.
Yeah, just sneaking in each one.
While she's sleeping at night, you Photoshop yourself in.
It's like, here's this wonderful skyline and me.
I'd be so upset.
But
Especially if you didn't
Oh,
save it as
no.
a separate file. If you saved it as the main file.
overwrote it.
Yeah.
Photoshop yourself into the clouds.
No.
Yeah.
This is how marriages end.
Like, you
Photoshop
just-
your bearded face into the clouds staring down.
No, just the beard is one of the clouds.
Don't do that.
Hey Brian,
Face
let's
Chewie made.
meet up after this.
yeah, we can make it work.
I got some Photoshop.
Perfect.
But yeah, so that's kind of like my where have I been doing pitch thing because I've just been trying to figure out how to make our tent look pretty.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. You guys should all come by. It's
Yeah.
next Saturday and Sunday, correct?
Come spend your money.
And if this is coming out
Buy
Thursday, it'll
photos.
be in 2 days from now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be fun. John, what about you?
So I was digging through some old videos on YouTube, like you do, and I came across one that I had actually received back in the day when I was subscribed to Nintendo Power, of all things. Speaking of going back in memory, memory lane with this movie, it was for Star Fox, the advertisement for the game Star Fox that was to come out, and it was
Like for Super Nintendo?
for Nintendo 64. This is the new console that just came out, and Star Fox was just coming out, and they were advertising this new feature called the Rumble Pack.
Oh, I remember the Rumble
Yeah.
Pack.
So the advertisement has
Just a
this
waste.
jet fighter pilot land in front of Nintendo, and then Sega and PlayStation, they have shirts saying who they are, come up and kidnap him, and they interrogate him trying to find out the secrets to Star Fox, and they use a torture device on a Mario doll to get him to talk, and it's really funny because then he finally does and starts advertising the game, which is really cool and has rock music on there and all. Then
Our secret is we use rock music.
yeah. So then
Ah, we appeal to the youth.
So then they tried to get the secret of the Rumble Pack out, but he doesn't know. They never told him. So they went and got a scientist from Nintendo. They sneak in there and have like a chloroform pizza, and they bring him in. And as you do, as you
How
do,
long is this ad?
it's like 20 minutes. It is the weirdest thing. and
This
it's
is
like,
real time.
Yeah.
To be fair, I would totally be lured anywhere if there was pizza.
Yeah.
Like just,
Yeah.
And it's really funny, but at the very end, they give you a lineup of the rest of the Nintendo games coming out, and you just kind of get this like look at all these unfinished versions of the games to come out, like Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and GoldenEye, but like the beta versions of those.
Nice.
It's a really fun video. If you can find it on YouTube, and you can, just watch it. It is like 20 minutes of just old school fun.
Or maybe you can post it to our website.
I was going to say, you can even share it for us.
Yeah. I should
Or
do
we
that.
could give the listeners homework, or we could hand it to them.
Just like homework.
You go earn your gold stars.
Sean, what about you? Where have you been doing?
So I've been doing a couple things. I wrapped up a couple weeks ago. I did the West Hollywood Scavenger Hunt, so that was
Very fun.
It was crazy. We were just running all over Los Angeles, taking pictures with random people. We had an entire group of people do the Spider-Man thing, like with the pose.
Yes.
And so it was kind of like a photo scavenger hunt. And then this past week, I just finished Little Big Lies. Is that right? On
Big Little Lies.
Big Little Lies. Is it Little Big Lies? Big Little
Well,
Lies.
that's
Big
the
Little
prequel.
Lies.
Little Lies.
Big Little Lies. And that was actually a really good show. I was astonished because I hadn't really heard anything.
It
about
was weird because it wasn't on my radar much other than seeing billboards for it here and there. And then once it, when people were done watching it, essentially, my Facebook was full of people going, "Oh my God, that ending, la la la."
Yeah,
I was just
it's
like, what?
crazy.
Was this a thing for me to actually pay attention to?
Right. And
It's only
like-
7 episodes, so it's very like doable.
And
Yeah.
is it a series or is it like a mini series? Like is
It's
it
a
like
mini
It's a
series.
mini
so
series,
it's self-contained?
It's
just 7
self-contained.
done,
They've
yeah.
talked about doing a second season, but I mean, it's based on a book, and the first season is the book, so
that makes it tough. Yeah.
they'd have to make it up completely.
Yeah, I know. And it's like the characters are so great, but it's like I love that show so much. It's awesome.
It's nice to see Nicole Kidman doing things that people enjoy again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
we had recently had a conversation of where the frick is Nicole Kidman?
But you remember when she was
She's
a thing?
crying and
Found her.
lying.
Yeah.
Well, it's just weird that like a lot of us get our news about TV shows from the billboards here. I don't think anyone who listens to that that's not in LA appreciates that.
Oh yeah,
We learn about shows and movies from the billboards we drive past, not from
buses
TV.
that drive by us.
Right.
Michelle, what about you? Where have you been doing?
Oh man, well, I'm gearing up to start Drunk History season 5 on Monday with CHEWIE.
Me too.
Woohoo!
Not me.
It's the reunion tour. We'll be filming our reenactments, the fun part, for the next 3 months. So
I'm excited.
I've been gearing up for that, and then watching wise, I've been crying alone in my room to 13 Reasons Why.
I've heard it's great, and
I
then I've
am
also been told not to
interested in
watch
that.
it.
Here's what I'll say. It's totally worth the watch. You should be 100% prepared. Like, a huge part of the mystery of the show, like it's like kind of billed as like a murder mystery, but like all along that this girl commits suicide, but you don't see it until the last episode. And it's just like heart-wrenching, but like I think it's just a topic that needs to be talked about, and the show is flawed, but like it's a very interesting way to get kids to like be more self-aware and understanding, like, I don't know, like the teen culture that isn't like Romy and Michele's high school reunion. Like, it's a little bit deeper than that. And so I would just say be prepared. Like, I cried through the last like 4 episodes. Wow. So
especially in high school, like everyone had a moment someone killed themselves when they were in high school, and
or a lot of people are associated by proxy to somebody that's committed suicide. And it also takes a really, not to get like super serious, but like it takes a really deep dive into sexual assault. So like I mean, it's good that our entertainment can be consumed and have a message and still be entertaining. Like, they still kind of play it like a murder mystery show, so it's still entertaining, but like it has some deeper themes that's like out there. But you can watch it in like 2 or 3 sittings and move on. And
Each episode's 1 hour?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And definitely, like, the pilot of that episode totally changes after you've seen it, because like now you're just looking at it like, oh, this is why everyone's acting this way. Like, it's a really great show.
Interesting.
I will watch it at some point. It was one of those ones where it's like I had so many people like, oh, it's so good, just don't watch it.
Just don't watch it. I mean, I don't want anybody to watch it because I know how affecting it was. So like, it's hard to like put somebody else in that position.
Yeah.
Like, it's good for you if you need like a good cathartic cry. Like, definitely watch it. But
I don't think I do.
I don't think we need to watch that right now. Specifically us.
Yeah. No, we just lost 2 of our very close little pets, and it's like, I don't think I need a cry right now.
Yeah,
I have
I've
enough
done
of
a
that
lot
in
of
my
crying.
own life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe wait a week or
Yeah.
2.
And I immediately turned it off and watched the pilot of Bates Motel, which is like the opposite show. And I was like, oh,
murder.
wow, this is like...
Talk about whiplash.
It's pretty
Yeah.
corny. I'm enjoying it, but it's like corny as fuck. I was like, wow.
I hear it's a show that you kind of, if you're willing to lean into it with everyone else, it's great. But
Yeah.
if you're not, it really falls apart.
Yeah, it's a journey. I'm only like 3 or 4 episodes in.
I had somebody at my old job who used to leave it on his TV, so I watched like half of a few episodes. I actually kind of enjoy it. I just never went back and watched it.
It's harmless enough.
All right, I think we should move on to today's episode. 3 days from now, not when you're listening to it now recording, this movie celebrates a 20th anniversary. And the world is so excited, right?
God, I
Right?
feel old.
The world of me.
Yeah,
The Times Square countdown clock is
Yeah.
finally hitting its mark.
20 years.
people cannot contain their joy to celebrate Romy and Michele's high school reunion.
Woo! Watch out, Tucson.
I got a phone.
This was an episode that Chewie had asked me to do a while ago, and I said no. And then it took a lot of
the patriarchy.
It took a lot of like, well, it's celebrating a 20th anniversary, and it's going after an audience that we don't usually go for in our show, because we do a lot of nerd and like
We've done
super film stuff, and
So
We've done chick flicks, but this is a very like specific type of chick
yes,
flick.
it is.
Well, we made our chick flick show to alienate chicks.
Yeah.
I feel like that episode was designed to alienate.
Yeah, it said our friend of the show, Samantha Garrison, who just listened to our chick flick episode, going, "What the fuck?" It's like, okay, yeah.
If we can cause accidents on our show because of people shouting "What the fuck,"
Sam
win.
has gotten very mad at me, saying that I do not appreciate a very important genre of film, and I'm like, it's not that I don't appreciate it; it's just that it's not necessarily always for
It's
me.
just that it sucks.
Right.
But this type of movie, oddly enough, I really enjoy.
Oh, I get it. It's like when we like bad action movies because they're bad. You like this movie because it's bad?
I mean, it's not.
Interesting.
I don't think this movie's bad.
Yeah, me neither.
We'll get into all that.
We will get into it in a second. So basically, the reviews for this movie, it came out, and a lot of people really, really enjoyed it, and a lot of people really, really didn't. It Mike problems. It ended with a 52 on Metacritic, which granted Metacritic wasn't a thing in the 90s, so who really knows what it was like, because they're just kind of basing that off of whatever.
Current reviews, probably.
Get your selection bias there, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's fine. I'm looking up how much it made. It didn't do great, which is probably why they didn't have a Romy and Michele's 15-year reunion or something.
And they didn't do the sitcom that they were thinking about.
Yeah, and they didn't do the sitcom. Like there are some things that were going to come from this movie, and it never really happened. This was a movie that I think had a lot of life once it hit Blockbuster. Specifically Blockbuster, because it was the 90s.
Rest in
But
peace.
I was a Hollywood video girl. I don't know about.
I
anyone
also had
else.
Hollywood Video, but I kept a movie way too long,
think
and I
we
owed
had
them
an
$50,
offer,
and I was
yeah.
like, "Whoop, done going there."
That's not how much movies cost.
I know. I held that thing for like 6 months. But yeah,
May
so,
they rest in peace.
yeah, I don't miss them that much. They never got my money.
Bye,
the
Felicia.
fuckers.
No, we're good. We're good.
So this movie ended up making a whopping $29 million, which I guess probably wasn't that bad. It just wasn't enough for Buena Vista to go.
I'm
"Let's
sure
do
they
another
made their
one."
money back.
Yeah.
I can't imagine this cost more than like $15 million.
Yeah, and then I'm sure on the home video market it made plenty more, because this movie had a big following the second it hit home video. But before we get too far into it, I think it's time for a breakdown. And this time, I really feel it's important, since it's Romy and Michele's high school reunion, to have two people do it, one of which is named Michele. That just kind of worked out. So Sean
I'm
could be
2
Romy.
L's. Michele 2 L's.
Yeah.
Isn't it spelled 2 L's in the movie?
No,
It's not.
one.
It's one.
She schooled me on
Very-
that
Only
very,
Michelle's
very
know that.
quickly.
It's very. It actually is very important, and when we break down the movie, it's very important to her character that she's missing an L. I think that it is. I think it shows that she's missing a little something else in her life.
All right, so you guys ready?
All right.
All
Let's
right.
do
We're
this.
gonna have two people going at the same time. John, are you ready? Romy and Michele's high school reunion in 30 seconds. Go, 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 go!
So
like,
this is Romy and
are,
Michele,
like,
and they're not in the
besties
A
from high
group. They're not in the
school,
B
and then
group. They're not
decided
really in the
that
C group
they're gonna
either.
go to their
But
10-year high school
they're
reunion, but then
ready
they're
to go to
kind
their
of,
high
like,
school reunion and
self-conscious
prove
about
that
it
they've
because
been. I
they
can't hear
realize they
anything,
haven't,
Sean.
like- well, that's because I have a deeper voice. They realize that they haven't accomplished anything, so then they go
I
back
just
to high
want to lose
school
some weight
reunion,
and get a
they
good
make up the fact
job
that they made
and
up
find a
Post-it
boyfriend.
notes, and then
there's
everybody
Christy
finds out that
Masters.
they lied, and then they have a
Oh
fight.
my God.
But then everything's
What do
better
you-
at the end, and
At
they
least we
tell,
didn't get
like,
fat.
the lady that
We're
bullied
pregnant,
them
you
to fuck off,
half-wit.
and everything's great because sugar daddy.
And
buys
we're out
them
of
a watch.
time.
I'm the Mary.
I'm the Mary. You're the bitch on her deathbed.
I'm not Jewish.
I think that was the single worst breakdown I've ever heard. But you got.
How could you tell?
Between the two of them, they got the whole plot line. I mean, well, Sean did the plot line, and then Michele just quoted the movie.
But that
It was brilliant.
Yeah, the spirit.
We
It
had like
worked.
a synergy. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I will call that a success. I don't know why, but maybe I'm just feeling nice today. So that gives you both the chance to make fun of me if you'd like to. You get one free insult to throw my way, which everyone turns down, but you don't have to. I'm just saying most people turn it down.
Well, I don't like you very much right now because you don't like Romy and Michele. So, fuck you, Brian.
That works. Sean?
Dirty Dancing was a great movie, despite your bad opinion.
I'm sorry.
I'm the one
My
who
outrage
defended
is
that movie.
at an all-time high.
No,
Wow.
I defended that movie and
know
said
you
I
did.
loved it.
I know you did, but we did have many conversations years ago where you were just like, "Why you like Dirty Dancing? That's not a great movie."
I've still
I was
never seen
schooled
it.
on it.
I-
I've changed my mind.
Flip flopper.
Wait,
Dirty
is that even an
flip-flopper.
I'm a
wait?
dirty flip-flopper.
Is that even
I like
an
that.
insult if you don't hate it anymore? I don't even know anymore.
Well, I think it sounds like a failure to me. But anyhow,
So sad.
I think we should start talking about this movie.
Love you, Bry.
All right, so the thing with this movie, and usually with movies that we do from this long ago, I like to talk about kind of the where you remember coming to it. So do you remember your first encounter with? I think Ryan's was yesterday.
Yeah, no, I remember my first encounter. It was back in the 1997 or 8, right when it came out, and I saw the beautiful poster, which is right in front of us, and it says, Romy and Michele. Okay, already I'm not relating to these characters. High school reunion. Okay, I can get behind some high school, but not the reunion part. Okay, this movie's probably not for me. And then flash forward to 20 years minus 3 days later. Brian's like, hey, Ryan, you got to watch this movie, Romy and Michele High School Reunion. And I was like, why, Brian? Why? Which is
His
also
Twitter
his
handle.
Twitter handle. Now I know where he got it.
That's how we respond to him.
At the end, I said the same thing.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I had a very different reaction, which was I was a child, and my sister, who made me watch a lot of the movies I watched growing up, both positive and negative. This one might be a little more negative, but it was pretty much just like she'd want to rent a movie, she'd watch it, and be like, Brian, you're watching this with me. And I was too much of a pansy to go, no, I'm going to go do anything else. And I was like, well, my sister said I have to watch it, so I'm going to watch it. And I would sit down and just watch any movie with her. And this one we watched, I don't know how many times. Probably too many. But I saw it a lot, and I was never a fan.
It's made you the man you are today.
I'm sure it had some impact on
Yeah.
it. And no, I'll give it this much. It made me a Janine Garofalo fan.
Oh, heck yeah.
At a very young age, I'm like,
It's
oh,
a great
I like her.
Janine
She's funny.
Garofalo role,
Preach.
though. Yeah.
You like her. It made you a fan of her, but you still have a crush on Sorvino more.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Why, Brian? Do you like my voice?
It does things for me. What can I say?
It's the
Chewie, do you
shoes
remember
that
your
wrote
first
in.
encounter?
Excuse me. As in most of the things from my youth, I really don't remember. I've said to people
Whenever you
multiple
say that, it
times,
just makes it sound like you were like a rabid drug addict. I
I wish that was my excuse.
I came clean in the year of our Lord 2001.
Like I had a run-in with somebody that knew me from Columbia yesterday, and I'm just like,
Hey, I'm right here,
I'm
dude."
sorry, I just don't remember you. And it's just
Right
like,
here, dude.
I blame it on my ADD. Like that's really the only either that or I just have a terrible brain. Because I remember emotions better than I remember actual events. And I remember always feeling giddy about this movie. Whenever I see a poster, whenever I see the characters, the fashion from it, it brings me a ton of joy. And I don't know if I saw it in theaters. I probably did. I was still in middle school. Like I was in the 8th grade when this movie came out. And I probably saw it because I was excited about going to high school, and I'm like, and it's so deep in the 90s while also being deep in the 80s, which is two things I
Love.
The fashion is so terrible. I've always been attracted to terrible fashion. I don't know why, because it just makes me happy in a weird. I like seeing gross things that also like.
Explains so much why she picked me.
It's just like I would never wear anything they wear in this movie, but I love watching them wear it. So I just really enjoy this movie.
Nice.
Nice.
Michele?
I do remember going to see it at the theater. I do remember walking out and being like, oh my God, there was a 25-minute dream sequence, which is crazy. But I always enjoyed it through the years. And then I have a friend that this is her and I's inside joke movie. And to the point where it's like we are indistinguishable. We yell that I'm the Mary at each other all the time. And then I think the other like iconic thing that I'll always remember is I'll never get in a car and not yell, "Watch out, Tucson." I say that regardless of me loving the movie. I think it's like one of the most quotable like quotes that I have taken with me over the years, and every time I get in a car I'm like, woo, watch out, Tucson. Woo. So yeah, I'm on Team Chewie on this one. Yeah. I love this movie.
So yeah, and I mean definitely I'm relatively new to this movie. So I remember when it came out in '97, of course I was a boy in middle school, so it's like I don't really want to see another movie about dumb blondes. I'm good. And then when I was in college, there were a lot of people that would make references to it, and they'd be like, oh my God, you're like Romy and Michele. And I was like, I have no idea what that means. Sorry. And then I saw it like a couple months ago because it was in my Netflix queue and was like, oh, okay, sure. Like, we'll give this a whirl. And I remember laughing, but I don't remember the movie. So I became more acquainted with it yesterday in preparation for the podcast. And I love this movie.
So you're never like, man, fuck that movie. It was always kind of like, well, I like it, but it's kind of like adjacent.
I was
you're
always
aware of it, you enjoyed it, but it wasn't like on your like top 10.
It's like I was always. It's kind of like Sarah Palin in a bookstore. Like I was aware that they existed,
Sarah
but I
Palin
never
bookstore.
actually ventured into it until very recently when someone told me I needed to see it.
I will say that I do think that it is quite jarring as a first viewing because
Yes.
of the weirdness, the weird dream sequence. You
Like-
know, like the.
Yeah.
I think that it's definitely like a third, fourth, fifth viewing, like kind of movie where you really start to love it. Because I don't even think I initially was like, this is the best movie ever. I think I was like, that was weird. And then I think over the years watching it, you start to like, discover how iconic some of the dialogue is, and just the idea that it's like CHEWIE was saying, it like spawns multiple generations. Like it feels 80s, it feels 90s, it feels relevant like today, like kind of thing.
Absolutely.
I'm going to talk about that because it's
Well, really quick, John, do you remember? Did you see this before I made you watch it?
No, but I had heard of it. I've
Okay.
always known about it, and it's that movie that's like when people are referencing, are you talking about Clueless? No, this. Like I've kind of
Right.
there's a blurred line there.
I liked it when I was asking people about it, and Jandy went, "Oh, I definitely seen it. I liked it. I went through a huge Phoebe phase."
Yeah. So I watched it, and first time watch, I loved the weirdness. So like everything you were saying, like it takes 1, 2, 3 viewings. I was like, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Like when she's in the dream sequence, like, oh, you're just flying out of the car. That's okay, cool. That's me for the weirdness. I was like, all right. And then anything
And
Romy said.
it's what you don't expect from like a chick flick.
No,
It's like
no.
the 25-minute dream sequence is like so weird that to fit in this movie about girl friendship. Like,
But it's doing things that I always say that I like in
Yeah.
these movies, like just one after the other. I'm like, oh, I like this thing in movies. I always say I like this thing. Oh, I'm in.
I couldn't find my top.
But I mean, like even in that dream sequence, like the first time you watch it, you're just like, wow, I'm starting to get heartbroken halfway through this because they're really growing apart as people do. And then at the end of it, when she goes, no, you're the Mary, you're just like, oh my God, like what is happening? This is amazing. And then you get back to the high school and you're like, okay, good, they're gonna be friends again.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, something that they do in this movie really well that I didn't see in like a lot of other movies like Clueless or Mean Girls is just like, at the end of the day, these girls have each other's back. Like even in the dream sequence,
This is surprisingly a big girl power movie because
Yeah.
Clueless ended up being about getting the guy.
Yeah.
yeah, and like in this one, it's like even though they're fighting in the dream sequence and they still have that rift and they talk about having this rift, they still like at the end of it are like, oh well, like I'm imagining her having this wonderful life like separate from me, and it's like that's still nice instead of saying, oh I hate her, like I hope she's like not doing well. And it's like it's I thought that was very powerful.
You got so much more out of this than I did. I do agree. I think the dream sequence is the most impressive and best thing out of the movie because the movie it's a tight movie. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And to spend 25 minutes in that in a left turn, like nope, didn't happen. It's like that's a ballsy move. Like that's I don't think there's many movies today that would pull that move.
No,
Like,
Yeah.
they
that's-
would make it like a 5-minute dream
Yeah,
sequence.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed about this? I've been paying attention to the Ben Garant and Tom Lennon School of Writing, like the online and stuff. And it really stood out to me that like the inciting incident of this movie takes place 30 minutes in, which is, oh, we have to go back to our reunion, And it's like, wait, that's what this movie's about? What have they been doing for 30 minutes? So the movie is bookended by 30-minute chunks of nonsense time.
Yeah.
More like
It
fan
should be a
service for
terrible-
people that like the play. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a terrible script, but the
Well,
writing is
I actually
really
want to
well.
reference
really well done.
like the reasons that I think that this was really tight script because of that. The director, I'm finding his name,
David Merkin.
David Merkin,
I'm not going
was
to forget that
a
name.
Springfield Simpsons writer. Like he didn't really do too much outside. I mean, I looked at his IMDb. He worked on a lot of television, but mostly like his deep credits are related to The Simpsons. And they even have a sequence in this movie where they're watching The Simpsons at one point, which is really funny.
That makes a lot of sense. It feels very non sequitur like The
Yeah.
Simpsons.
And the writer, Robin Schiff, is a playwright and a screenwriter.
And I have a story about this because Cinespia did a 20th anniversary of Romy and Michele's high school
yeah?
reunion
They were
about
too early.
about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I went and it was a full 90s prom.
Oh my god.
So I went with 3 of my friends. Like the concessions were the businesswoman special and like all the candy you could eat. And Robin Schiff came out and introed the movie. And she said, I wrote this play called Ladies' Room. And Romy and Michele were 2 side characters. They were like the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern
Oh, yeah.
of the play. And everybody that saw the play goes, man, you got to write something that's just about Romy and Michele. Like they're just so iconic that you remember them when I'm watching this play about other people. When they enter, you understand their friendship and you want to hear more about their story. And that's when she wrote the movie. And so like it's interesting how something you may not intend, she didn't write this movie just to write this movie. She wrote this movie because she got reaction from these characters in a different work.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really interesting that like people like noticed it and asked for it, and that's why
It's listening to your audience.
Yeah.
And like it's very smart of her.
Now, did the same two actresses play Romy and Michele in the play too, or no?
No.
Okay.
Well-
I thought I'd heard that somewhere.
Well, just Lisa Kudrow, because
Right.
she
Yeah.
basically
Kudrow had been in it? Okay.
Yeah, because when the play, when I did some googling too, when the play had opened in 1988 in West Hollywood, holla, at the time, Lisa Kudrow was at the Groundlings and she was taking classes there.
Okay.
And she had actually known, I think it wasn't Robin Schiff. I think she knew. She knew somebody. I wrote it down somewhere. Anyways,
move on.
but she knew someone who like basically was like, oh, you should be in this play, whatever. And like she'd been playing it since 1988. So, I mean, for me, like this may be like why it seems a little more niche, because it's like this is definitely like a fan service sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like, oh, sorry about that. I'm not talking to the mic. But you know, at the end of the day, like this is something where like she'd been playing this part like really regularly, like before she would actually play Phoebe in Friends. So that was something that surprised me when I was looking this up.
That is pretty interesting. I can understand why people are really into this movie. Like I get
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But like there's things that I'm surprised that, say like John, who just saw it for the first time, like I agree with Michelle. I think this is a rough first time watch, especially now, because this is a very 90s film, and I don't mean that like it's like so steeped in
And
the
I
90s.
think any 90s, 80s movie that's really out there is a hard first time watch
Yeah.
in a modern society.
You
Yeah.
need to
Yes.
get used to the
It's the
pacing, you need to
entire-
get used to the dialogue. Like
Yeah.
it's just, and this one already has odd dialogue for the 90s.
And everybody in our generation already has their favorites from those
Yeah.
eras. So like my roommate's never seen The Goonies, and it like breaks my heart because I'm like, oh my god,
That's
like
travesty.
I can't even like speak with you. But I also don't really want him to watch it in modern day and then hate it, because I'm like, it means so much to me.
Then you have to get
You've
new
already
roommates.
had
Yeah.
tea. And
You've
so
already
I
had all
think-
these other movies.
Yeah, and I think a lot of 80s and 90s movies, like people like pull their love for them based on how they were feeling at the time that they watched them.
Sure, yeah.
And so like it's hard for somebody in a modern day to go back and feel the vibe that like Chewie and I may feel because we love that movie in 1997
Well,
specifically.
and that's
course.
kind of what drew me in when I was watching, because it's that vibe, and it's a vibe we don't have now. So it's like, it kind of feels like home, even though I've never seen the movie. But I've gotten that vibe in a lot of those movies, and I remember just that feeling, like, weird for weird's sake. We're gonna do a dream sequence, whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a, hey, yeah, whatever, and then just stream of conscious from your like dialogue.
I mean,
I felt comfortable in it. It was interesting for having never seen it.
It's interesting to me because it's like I saw 16 Candles really late in life.
Same here.
And was like, this is weird. Like, this is kind of crazy. And but I love it now. But it's like I also think it's like a multi-viewing kind of movie. And I think I just think it's like the 90s, man. Like 90s movies are fucking weird sometimes because like the economy had endless money, and they're like, sure,
the
why not?
optimism of the 90s
Yeah.
is extreme.
Yeah.
Like everything pre 2001 is so happy. And like,
Absolutely.
we're going to be great, guys. Things are great. It's
The
going to
economy's
keep going.
great. Our president's getting his dick sucked. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Everyone's getting serviced.
Live-
And it's really girl power. Believe in yourself. As long as nothing's going to hold you back.
earnest. That's what
Yeah.
it is. It's earnest, and it telegraphs that in the beginning. And I kind of miss that in this age of like ironic detachment that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I miss that earnestness.
the one thing that I really appreciated this movie is that it, I love bromance films specifically, and this is a bromance film, but it's a womance film.
Yeah.
More, of course. It doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
Not at
Lady
all.
bromance, baby.
Yeah.
But it's perfect. It's
Bromance.
90s. It's
I don't
90s.
know.
It's a
You got it.
bromance film. I love that.
And it's kind of like how I love The Other Guys so much, which is another movie that you keep watching again and again, and you get more quotes out of it. You get more joy out of it. They're so stupid, but they're wonderful. And that's how I feel about this movie. They're so stupid, but they're great for each other. And I always want to quote it more and more after I see it.
I mean, we should talk a little bit just about Romy and Michele. I feel like we keep talking about how we feel about the movie, but we should talk actually a little bit more about the movie. For people who haven't seen it for whatever reason, they really probably
Did you
should.
get our 30-second breakdown? Now you're caught
well,
up.
yeah, now they
Yeah,
know
we
everything.
summed it up pretty well.
Yeah,
Just say
if they
that.
could understand any of that, I applaud them. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, this movie is really just about friendship at its core, and I think as much as I tune out during the movie and pull out the laptop or play a game on my phone because I'm not into it, I really respect how well they do the relationship of the two of them. I think it is near flawless.
They're ditzy soulmates, and the beauty, like one thing that I can attach myself to, very different characters, each one. Like I see a part of myself in almost every character in this movie, and Romy and Michele is my stupid, flighty self.
Sure.
Whenever I'm like, oh my God, it's so bright and terrible, I want that. I'm like, I'm not a pink wearing girl, but I can still appreciate pink. I own some pink things. I'll never wear them, but I like looking at them. So
I just want to say that, like, the other episode I did, Ghostbusters, my biggest criticism of that film is that I thought the female friendships were very flawed, and you didn't really understand.
They felt fake, yeah.
Yeah, they felt fake. They didn't feel like they even liked each other and had this history, and I feel the absolute opposite of this film, where it's like, you know, in the quieter moments, you know, Romy is pulling magnets off Michelle's back, you know, because she cares about her. And then Romy is always looking out for Michele because Michelle's obviously dumb. So Romy's like, I'm always going to be looking out for her, and like, you know, that kind of thing. And that you appreciate, you understand why they're friends with each other.
They would jump into the portal to the nether for each other.
Exactly.
You'd believe that.
Yes.
But in like a world where a lot of these kinds of movies have like very surface female friendships, I think that this one runs deep, and you like understand why the characters are friends.
yeah, they really want each other to be happy, which Romy's the one that didn't really believe that they were cool in high school, and Michele,
I didn't know we weren't cool.
Yeah, she just thought they were great. Like
Yeah.
in general, like she is a no nonsense self-esteem, essentially.
I mean, she has such an idealistic view of the world
Yeah.
that it's just very refreshing because it never changes through the whole movie.
she wants to shop. She wants to make things, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and even from the very beginning of the film, you just see Michele like, I'm in my happy place. Like, you know, I'm, you know, rooming with my best friend. We live in Venice. Like, we're doing this stuff. Like, who cares if we haven't
they're
succeeded?
living the life in Hollywood.
Yeah, and like I feel like this entire thing was a journey to kind of bring Romy back to that place, and like Michele was really the best character to do that, because it's just like, this is someone I've known for like most of my life. Like, of course I'm gonna reel her in if she's like feeling sad about this.
and-
I disagree a little bit. I don't think that it's about bringing Romy back to that place. I think it's about meeting in the middle. Because I think it's like Michelle's way too far in La La Land, and Romy's way too far in like cynical, like I thought life was going to be better land. And it's more about like, okay, we both need to let that go and kind of meet in the middle. And that's why like they have their store where it's like, okay, I get to run the business and I get to do this and I get to be in charge. And Michelle's like, I get to fold scarves.
Yeah.
And it's like, it works. Like it kind of brings them both out of their ruts and kind of makes them both more complete people.
That's one beauty where I could see that a lot of us right now can relate to this in a different way, kind of, because they're 27 or 28.
Well, 28, it'd be 10 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, some people were 17 when they graduated, but
Yeah,
whatever.
Brian, Jesus.
I'm sorry.
So ageist.
But especially kind of like in our age group right now, I know a lot of us are in our 30s, but we can still kind of relate to it of like, this is not exactly where I thought I was going to be.
Right.
I didn't go to my
Nope.
10-year reunion.
I said nope.
Oh,
I was agreeing with you.
Sorry. I didn't go to my 10-year reunion because Facebook has made it where you don't really need to go to reunions. You kind of know where everyone is. But even so, I can guarantee I'd still have that urge to be like, all right, I need to look like I'm together. I need to look like I know what I'm doing and I'm successful, and everyone will look at me and be like, oh, she's so much better off.
Right.
So that feeling still stays. So I totally understand Romy's need to be like, oh, crap, my life's not that cool. I need to fix it. I need to change it.
Yeah. And
But
like,
then I also look at it from Michelle's perspective and be like, well, I'm not a house owner like I thought I was going to be. I don't have kids yet. But I don't know. I still actually live a pretty cool life. So I should be happy with it. And it's relatable, whether or not it's...
I mean, it's ultimately about acceptance. It's acceptance of who they are as people, and like why they embrace like their kookiness and their like offbeat outfits and that kind of thing. They end up just fully embracing by the end.
like we make ourselves, like literally. They literally make themselves
Well,
up.
it's also about like not letting other people's judgment affect what you're going to end up doing, because they feel like they need to impress these people that they don't even see on a daily basis.
It's the stuck in the past mentality.
Yeah.
And then
yeah. And I think like this movie, it kind of takes the idea of a high school reunion and turns it in on its head, because it's this thing where we face nowadays with Facebook with fear of missing out or FOMO, where you're constantly looking at other people's walls or other people's things and getting bombarded with the cool stuff other people are doing. And back in the 90s, we didn't have that. So this is something where it's kind of taking that idea and showing how absurd it is about, look how unhappy all of these other characters are at their high school reunion.
They're all pretending to be happy, though.
Yeah, exactly. And they're putting on this, like, fake face to show, like, oh, well, he's an entrepreneur. He's, like, a real estate developer or something. And the guy's like, yeah, I just, like, put drywall on the house. and
his attempt at looking fat by sticking out his stomach.
Yeah. And I think that's where emotionally the pair of them really, like, sell this movie for me, where they just bring this into, yeah, look how fake all this other stuff is. We're happy in California. Like, whatever.
But then there's characters like Janine Garofalo's character, who is successful,
Yeah.
who has created her own business and has money, obviously, and drives a Lexus, and
Well,
is
she'd be
very
fucked right now,
unhappy.
but yeah.
But she still like is obsessed with the idea of Sandy Fink,
Yeah.
played by Alan Cummings.
I love him so much.
Frink.
Good.
He was so good in this movie.
The
but no-
the Frinkazoid.
Yeah.
But no, Janine Garofalo's character, it's really one of my only like storytelling complaints I have with this movie. I don't buy that she would have gone.
Right.
I don't see her making the trip to go to the reunion because she is successful and she doesn't really care what any of the other
But she
people
has
think.
the whole point of the reunion is that everybody that's attending the reunion has a chip on their shoulder, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
sure, yeah.
so I think the idea that her, like, she's successful, she's moved on, but she's always had this chip on her shoulder about never exploring what she could have had with her high school crush. And
Sure,
that's
yeah.
a huge motivation for her to be like, and like Chewie said, this movie existed in a time period without Facebook. She couldn't stalk Sandy Frank on Facebook. She had to go to the reunion to actually see him.
And I don't
Fair
know.
point. Yeah.
So
I don't
it's-
think she would have gone if she hadn't run into Romy.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
But I still think the thing is, if I'm watching this movie, if for whatever reason I watch it again, I'm watching it for her. Because she cracks me up the whole way
Yeah.
through. Like every time she tells I don't remember the actress's name, from The Practice, to shut the fuck up.
Oh, Cameron Manheim.
Kills me every time. I love it. It's like, and like she's the only reason this movie's rated R. Is
Yeah.
because Janine Garofalo keeps telling people to shut the fuck up. And that's really, because other than that, there's
It's Toby, fuck off.
Yeah, fuck off, Toby.
And she's another
So
character.
good.
Well, I see a very specific part of myself in her character, like my
Ah.
angsty, angry part of myself, who felt like I got bullied in high school, but then once I got older and looked back, I'm like, wait, oh no,
I was
the
mean.
bully. I was mean.
Yeah. No,
That's
that's
a
a great.
30
That's a
Rock
very
moment
fair
right there.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very fair point because it's like she never knew that she made Michelle, Heather's life miserable while the A group was making Romy and Michelle's
yeah.
life miserable, and Michelle was making her life
Yeah.
miserable. So it's like a whole chain of progression that all these characters that seem so different are all like tied together.
Yeah.
And
It's like
for the
in-
same reason.
It's very specifically in high school, you're really stuck in your own head.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you really feel isolated all the time, and everyone else is like kind of out to get you, except for Michelle. Michelle didn't understand that at all.
God rest
and,
her.
and then, they go to the reunion and they all have like these realizations.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think is a fair point where Ryan said something about like, oh, high school, I like high school, but reunion, that's what lost me. I think the reason why this movie works is reunion is perspective. Reunion is like the good things about this movie are, and the really fun sequences are when they're in high school, when we get those like throwbacky, the prom where they're all dressed like Madonna and
So
like,
much pastel.
yeah. But like the idea of characters growing takes 10 years of perspective. And so they can have this journey and go back and reanalyze and be more self-aware and that kind of thing.
It's a really interesting thing of like, I remember talking to my parents about high school reunions. She was like, oh, you'll go to yours, but it's before the internet happened. And they were telling me like the 5-year reunion, like it's basically just high school again.
Yeah.
And then it's the 10-year reunion, you start seeing people have really
Change.
changed and started becoming their own things. And because of Facebook, we don't see that.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit, I don't think we do it as much
No.
because we're all perpetuating our own
Like-
adolescence or whatever. But like, this movie, I think, does a really good job of that whole like, yeah, you don't necessarily change, but you should.
I mean, just think about it. If Robin Schiff was inspired to write a movie about these characters, why did she choose to do it this way? Because she could have just done it sequentially in them in high school, right? But like the reason why this movie works so much is that we get two different sides of the coin, and we get a character journey. To go back, for them to go back and reanalyze their life, and then they end up for the better. So like, Because if you just watch them in high school being very offbeat, and then the end of the movie is them moving to Venice, like, oh man, like I've seen that movie before. And so I think the idea of flipping it, and it's just kind of a different perspective, and nobody does things like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me as well, because it's like we were talking earlier about the origins of this in a play, and it's like you think about these two side characters, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and it's when you look at Romy and Michele, it's like, well, what's their story? Is there anything more besides these, like,
Them
you
being
know,
flighty.
these flighty, banal kind of conversations of like, oh hey, oh my god, like, you know, I'm blonde and I'm in LA, like a stereotype. And you kind of turn it in on this of like, let's actually explore these characters and see like how they became this, or like how they grow, if
They're
at
a
all.
cliche with depth.
Yeah.
We should talk a little bit about Alan Cummings. Like,
Oh, Alan Cummings.
we mentioned him briefly, but he's my second favorite part of the whole
Sandy
movie.
Frank.
Michelle,
And it's,
There's so much about him I enjoy.
My
love
my
that
favorite
performance.
thing about it was this joke is how I discovered what boners were.
Like why he kept walking around with his notebook.
Because
Yeah.
I remember watching.
his huge notebook.
Yeah,
They have to point out.
I think it was the movie Indian Summer, where it's about like camp counselors, very similar to this, where they come and meet up with each other 10 years later, and he tells the story about how he saw the girl, and he had woken up with morningwood that morning, and then duct taped it to his leg, saw the girl, ripped the tape off, and I remember hearing that, going, I have no idea what they're talking about. And then this movie happened. I'm like, all right, I got to figure this shit out, Mom.
I like how your first place is to like go to your mom.
They're
and ask
talking
her
about
what
his penis.
I
Have
was
Google back
curious.
then.
Yeah, I didn't know where else to go, and then I had a very uncomfortable conversation, but I understood the joke. Not to mention 97. I was 11. I probably should have figured it out on my own by that point, but whatever. You know, we all learn things differently.
You have a boner by the time you're 11, right?
You might, but it's not like a. It's not,
not a
normal-
good one.
It's not a good one.
Good one.
It's more of like, did something bite me? Yeah.
It grew.
Yeah. Being a young boy sucks.
Yeah.
But
Woe is us.
the Sandy Frink character, there's multiple things I love about it, and it's one of the things that'll bring me into the other thing that I haven't mentioned that I love about this movie. His character is like the epitome of sploosh, essentially, of what can happen after high school, of
Yeah.
like the nerd who no one liked suddenly inventing something and then being the
special
richest
kind of
man in
rubber.
the world. A special kind
love
of
that
rubber that they're using in all of the shoes
Yeah.
in America.
yeah, like for condoms.
But then again, he's like the nerd who is super successful, but he still wants his ultimate prize, and he's not going to be happy without Michele. And
Well, and honestly, him and Heather are on the same character arc path. Like they're both after something ahead of them. So Heather's after Sandy, and Sandy's after Michele. And there's a weird irony in that, with them both end up being successful inventors. I love that inventors it ends up being like what is successful in this movie too. Is like
You're not
there's
successful
so
unless
many
you invented
inventors in our
something.
high school class. Like, can you believe it? And it's like kind of crazy that's what they determine is peak,
Yeah.
profession in coming out of Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
It's like we all have to be inventors. Like, come on, but.
But like I like what you're saying, where they're both chasing after their ultimate prize, but I also like that Janine Ruffalo's character sees him and goes, ugh.
Yeah.
that's who I was obsessed with.
Yeah.
It was like she has the quickest arc, and because she doesn't
Well-
really need to explore much, she immediately goes, "Oh, I didn't need to be into that. I'm
I made a
done."
huge mistake.
Yeah,
I made
but
a huge mistake.
like speaking from personal experience, I know I've seen recent photos because of Facebook of like my high school crushes, and I go, well, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
I mean, there's a huge irony in the fact that this movie couldn't exist in a post-Facebook world.
Oh,
I
no
mean,
way.
honestly, there's a reason why it's stuck in time in 1997.
Yeah.
Because she could have looked up a picture of Sandy Frank and been like, "Man, what am I doing?"
Not
Like,
going to that.
yeah.
but your like idea of like who somebody was 10 years ago that you can't physically see is very interesting, because
very
it's just so
romantic.
not relevant
Yeah.
today. So it just like kind of lives in its like time, and that's where it stays.
And that's why I wonder how well this thing will age in, say, another 20 years. Like,
Well, and I always wonder, like, how am I going to explain to my kids, like cassette tapes, like things like that are so like technology being so outdated.
hell, even CDs.
CD, yeah.
I still don't understand 8 tracks.
Exactly. So it's like it's kind of crazy that they'll never know what Blockbuster Video is.
Yeah.
They'll never know what a high school reunion is without, like knowing, I don't know.
High school reunions will probably just be like Facebook event
Facebook
things.
event, yeah.
Even
Yeah.
Like when people try to invite me to those events to buy candles or whatnot on Facebook, where there's like you all get together in the like comment section and buy candles. I'm like, that's going to be a reunion.
I
at
mean,
some
even
point.
Post-it notes are digital now.
Yeah.
And not yellow.
And
But yeah, like I can't think because of like Facebook and the internet, I would never go to a high school reunion.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna go to the Quad Cities. Fuck off! Like, no way.
It's really though because of distance for us.
Even
if
if
we
I
still
was-
lived in our
even-
hometown.
I was in Chicago during my 5-year reunion, and I'm like, no, that's a 3-hour drive.
But it's like even the people you just want to see, even if you don't have that high school crush on them or whatever, you still want to see what everyone's doing, right? Like you
Yeah.
want to see if the most popular girl in school is like a mother of 3, or if she ever became that famous weathercaster or whatever.
I've done that on Facebook, where every now and then I look up people that I'm not even actually friends with on Facebook because I
Yeah.
don't like them anymore.
But you're just
But I'll still go to their Facebook profile every now and then, be like, just to see what they look like.
I mean, there's a curiosity
Yep.
about people that you were kind of forced to grow up with.
Yeah.
High school is like you don't choose who you can choose your friends that are in direct connection with you, but you're kind of in this community where you're forced to grow up with these people, and so you know who people are by proxy. And I don't know, curiosity, man.
Yeah, and it's weird that this movie can capture all of that in this pre-internet way. Like it's like it's a really cool, like it is a really cool snapshot of something that even we like, and I feel old at 30, like we are too young to understand it.
Yeah.
Like we just missed that cutoff. Like we are like that age group where it's like, well, it just didn't work out that way. But it's
And
interesting.
it's a tight 90 minutes.
It is, yeah. It's-
Movies aren't like that anymore.
Oh, I when I saw the runtime, I was like, oh, I still,
pleasantly
I
I
still
can
have
do
it.
this.
I still have an evening after this.
And 25 minutes of that is a crazy dream sequence.
Even the 2005 sequel, yeah, there is a sequel. It's Romy and Michele in the beginning. It was a made-for-TV movie. Was 2 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know why everyone's slave to that 2 hours at this point. There's so many movies I've seen that I'm like, it didn't need to be that long.
Oh, by the way, in that movie, Katherine Heigl played Romy.
Ooh.
Nice.
Oh,
Shut it down.
The other thing about the 20th anniversary thing that I went to, where the playwright was there, was Mira Sorvino was also there.
Really?
Yeah.
And the applause. So they had like a 90s prom and drinks and stuff like that for a couple hours before, and then they showed the movie like late, like at 9:30. And so the guy comes out and he goes, "And I'd like to welcome the woman who's going to be introducing our film, Mira Sorvino." And a bunch of drunk Romy and Michele fans were just like, "What?" And like lots of loud screaming. And I like one of the first things out of her mouth was, I've been acting for like 20, 30 years, and I can't believe that this is the movie that really is like my claim to fame.
Yeah,
in a way.
not even the one she won an Oscar
And she's an
for.
Oscar winner.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I think she was like, I think we're all surprised by the fandom and the fact that it has stuck around so long that somebody wants to show a screening of it and it's packed. And
it's ironic that we can't have that high school reunion thing anymore. We've lost that with Facebook, but because of the connected age that we're in now, the fandom can grow.
yeah.
Right.
If that still existed now, we wouldn't have these screenings in the park.
I mean,
so it's so
yeah.
ironic that
Yeah,
it twists
right.
around like that.
Yeah.
Did she wear the dress?
She didn't, but she said that Robin is thinking about writing a sequel and that she's available.
Oh my God.
I mean,
They
it
just have to
works.
get Lisa.
Because this movie is a lot about nostalgia
Yeah.
before the trend of nostalgia.
I
And
know.
that's the thing now. It has been a thing for years at this point, but it's
Yeah.
not fading.
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to either.
No.
I think it's time for quotes.
Oh.
And I know there's a lot.
I didn't get to. I kept waiting for the best moment to talk about the thing.
It's been an hour. We've been talking for an hour.
All right, well, I'm just going to talk about the fashion really fucking fast.
Okay.
Fashion minute.
Mona May was the costume designer for this film, and she also did Clueless and a whole bunch of other huge things in the 90s. She's amazing fashion, and a fashion person,
Fashionista.
costumer. And that it's such a character in this film, especially like with Sandy Frink's character coming out of the helicopter. The first thing we see is his shoes, and they are like
A special
shoes.
kind of
They're
rubber.
a special kind of rubber. Like, that took him a long time to choose those shoes.
Yeah.
And his entire getup with his vest that has gold bees on it, that's like the symbol of the Medici, like wealth. And in the dream sequence, all the color palette for all their outfits is still very 1980s with all of the pastel and everything. And then we get flipped to the 90s, and then it's very like beige and dark tones. Like the costumes in this movie are a character of all their own, and so much thought went into them. And she's an amazing costume designer. And
the clothes have a story too, right?
They work into the story so well.
Well, because at the beginning they're very offbeat, and all their stuff is like mismatched and all that kind of thing. And then when they decide they need to be more professional, they're wearing all black lady blazers.
And there's so much emphasis on their boobs all the time, even as professional women.
Yeah, well, that's just a society thing.
Yeah. And I mean, but I mean, even with the fashion in this, like, you see so much in the details, like that entire scene where they're like going and seeing like all of these women that tormented them in high school. Each of those women matches the cocktail that they're holding. It's crazy. So like good. The beginning titles of this film are the actual costumes the ladies are wearing, and like I was reading that a lot of the costumes that Romy and Michele were, a lot of the costumes that Romy and Michele are wearing are things that they use in the actual stage play. So it's like you look at all of the details in this, and it's just like it's such a love fest, and like I love it.
I'm glad Sean's a fan.
I noticed they were wearing clothes.
And I also really like her Star Trek dress at the end there.
Yeah.
I'm done now.
No, I can't argue with anything you're saying. It all looked good.
Yeah.
I just don't know anything about it. Okay, so now it's time for quotes. I'm going to go first because I know for a fact, well, not maybe for a fact, but I'm pretty sure nobody has mine. We're recording 2 episodes today. I went for 2 very random lines because I think that's more fun. And this one comes from when Romy needs to get the car to go to the reunion, so she's going to fake having sex with the guy who's owning the car. And they keep going back and forth, and then he comes up with a line about his dick, and she doesn't want to say it, and he goes, well, you got to say something nice about my penis. It's cracked me up since I was a child. He's so angry about her saying something nice about his dick. It's so good.
That's a great scene. We didn't even talk about that.
It's a very good moment.
I am Columbus, and you are America. Discover me, Ramon. Discover me.
There you go.
All right, I'm done. Get off me now.
There's some really good moments in this movie. It just doesn't work that well.
I'll just jump on it. I've got one on deck.
Go for it.
Would you excuse me? I cut my foot before, and my shoe is filling with blood. And then she hobbles away.
I wasn't expecting to laugh as loud as I did. When that scene came up. And it's her delivery. Every ounce of it is her delivery.
Yep.
Like, I really want to use that next time I'm in the club.
Because even I was thinking when he said the suit salesman, I was like, ugh. And then she just does what I'm thinking on screen. I was like, okay, nice.
There's something about the honesty of how offbeat, like the worst excuse to get away from a guy. Yeah.
That's always been one of my favorites. Her little limp walking away. My favorite quote in the movie, though, is from Heather. And where'd it go? All right, so it's from Heather, like, I hurt your feelings? Yeah, all the time. Tremendous! That's tremendous. Go get your stupid yearbook. I would happy to sign it. Like, I love that moment. Like, she's just so happy.
Her smile is everything in that moment.
Yeah. So much glee that she ruined someone's life.
She's like, I was a bully. I'm so happy about that.
So one of my, so I picked this quote because I, of course, I'm a scientist and all that. But, it's just this exchange. Everything in this is all about the dialogue where you just have Michele saying, okay, well, actually, I invented a special kind of glue. And her antagonist in the film goes, oh, really? Well, then I'm sure you wouldn't mind giving us a detailed account of exactly how you concocted the miracle glue, would you? And Michele goes, no, well, ordinarily you would make glue first, and then you would need to thermoset your resin. And then after it cools, you have to mix in an epoxide, which is really just a fancy schmancy name for any simple oxygenated adhesive, right? Which is true. And then
I figured this whole thing was true the whole time she was saying
mostly it is. And then I thought maybe, just maybe, you could raise the viscosity by adding a complex glucose derivative during the emulsification process. And it turns out I was right. And I just when she just started with that, I lost it. I couldn't stop laughing, and I rewound it because I was like, I need to write this down. What on earth is happening? It's
and
amazing.
Then later when she's like, I can't believe I knew the formula for glue in my dream.
Like, it's phenomenal. Love it.
We got 2 left, right?
All right, I've got one, and it's when they're looking at the yearbook and they have that picture of them together in the yearbook, and then it goes into the whole thing about Denny Weller trying to be behind them, and so they're laughing. Oh my God, we turned the sprinklers on him, and then just like, didn't he die? I think so. And then the moment just dies. I'm like, I also unexpectedly laughed louder than I expected for that.
Well, I have many, as you can tell.
I would guess, yeah.
Just go rewatch this, re-listen to this episode. But I think the one that, to me, that just speaks so much of their friendship is something that you say to another girlfriend that you know is a blatant lie, but you say it because you care about them, and that's, you look so good with blonde hair and black roots, it's like not even funny. Because nobody looks good with blonde hair and black roots. It's totally funny.
I think I pulled it off very well. Thank you very much. Okay, so time for a review system. I think it's going to be simple, but we'll find out. Movies that take place in high school.
Oh.
I'm going to go first. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And I'm going with that. That's a way bigger compliment than I mean to give this movie because I love Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But the main reason why I thought of it when I was coming up with this one is because it is such a movie that is stuck in its time and would never work nowadays. Like, it just would never get made without the internet. Or with the internet, that movie does not happen in any way, shape, or form. And much like Romy and Michele. Beyond that, quality-wise, Fast Times is way better. That's my personal opinion. Next.
I got one. I'll do Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's got some quirky things that I enjoy, but it also feels stuck in a time. Like you said, it feels stuck in a time and there's no advancement from it. Like, they learn, there's like this, it's kind of a capsule moment.
Sure, yeah.
And it also has some kind of quirky, funny things that I really enjoyed from both of those.
I always feel with Napoleon Dynamite, it's more stuck in a location than a time, but
it does feel like a location of a time. Like I was taken back to
sure.
high school in the same way like with this. I'm like, oh, I'm going back in time.
Yeah,
like it does take me back in time, even if it's closer to the present.
Yeah,
which I found kind of interesting. And it also has divisive reactions depending on if you saw it when it came out versus now. So there's a disconnect between the people who don't get the movie and the people who really do. So
yeah, that works.
I'm going to go with Mean Girls. Super quotable high school movie. I'm totally stealing yours. I'm very stuck in its time, too.
Yep.
I'm going to go.
Yeah,
we're going to talk.
Nope.
Sorry. I'm going to go with what I consider this movie's sister film, Clueless.
Yep, that's a good one.
Because they pair really well together. It's very, like, again, stuck in its time, very airheady, very ditzy blonde, but coming to realizations about, furthering their lives. Even though, honestly, I would probably watch this one more on repeat.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Honestly, so would I. And I don't really like either one of them. But I'd go for this one before.
Oh, I thought you liked Clueless.
No, after rewatching it, I think it was like a few months ago. I'm like, no, I don't think I like this movie at all.
Oh.
So I keep changing my mind on movies this year. It's just that kind of year. You guys cannot say stuck in its time. Just so you know, if either one of you say it, I will never invite you back. That's not true at all.
I'm sorry.
That's all good.
What if they want that?
So Romeo and Juliet.
How about the classic Matt Damon, Greg Kinnear movie Stuck on You?
That'll work. All right. If that took place in high school, I know parts of it.
Parts of it do.
I know. I've seen it. I'm sorry.
So the high school film that comes to mind for me would be Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, that's a great one.
There you go, yeah.
The biggest reason for that is I think it's entirely an airhead buddy love fest. And the other part of it, I think, is because it's not stuck in its time.
You still said it. You can never come back.
Sad.
And I'm going to go with a more recent film called The To-Do List with Aubrey Plaza. And it is a movie that 90% of the reason why it works is because they set it in 1993. So it's a more recent movie, but they shoved it back to its time. And like she has to like look up rim job in a dictionary. Like it's very iconic and has a great cast if you've never seen it. Like Donald Glover and Chris Mintz-Plasse and it's really funny.
I almost went for Perks of Being a Wallflower, much because like the To-Do List, they set it back like 10 years, and that's how it worked. Yeah. It's a clever thing to do to make movies work.
Like Chewie was saying earlier, there's something about like high school before 2001 that like will be totally different than the upcoming generation.
Things were just so optimistic back then.
Optimistic and just different.
Yeah.
But that's it. So I think we should do a quick round of plugs. I think Chewie and Michele have the same thing to plug.
No, Chewie is a book fair.
Oh, that
art fair.
Art fair.
I did not write a book.
Yeah, we did that last week.
Yeah.
Well, you can make a book of photography.
Oh, there you go. You could do a book.
I need to take some more
but,
photos.
So we have an art fair. It's What?
It's in Burbank. It's this next weekend, the 30th and the 1st, I believe. Oh, whatever.
Sure. Whatever 3 days from now is, or
Yeah.
2 days. Tomorrow's Friday.
It'll be the 29th, 30th.
There it
29th,
is.
30th.
Those are
Alright.
dates.
Either way, it's in Burbank. It's on San Fernando. And if you go to Fuddruckers, you might see Jeff Garlin.
It's a joke for nobody.
Yeah, pretty much. We saw Jeff Garlin, and he kept talking about how cool Fuddruckers is.
Was he eating some frings?
I wish.
He was more so just bitching about having to come to Burbank to do a show. He's like, who goes to Burbank? What's in Burbank?
He does
we
weekly.
do.
Yeah, he
we
does
live
all the
there.
time. And then you have Drunk History.
Well, Drunk History will not be airing until later
It's
this
usually in the
year.
fall, right?
Yeah. So we, I have nothing really to plug. Just
Stay tuned for Drunk
stay
History.
tuned for
You can
Drunk History.
You can go into Comedy Central app and watch the old
yes,
episodes,
you can- yes, correct.
which is how I watch it.
Season 4 was the one where I met Michelle, and
Yes.
it was a very good experience.
And it got me a discounted night on the Queen Mary, which was awesome. Sean, do you have anything to plug? I don't.
Actually, well, not really. I mean, but I will say that it's lovely outside because it's sunny and it did recently rain. So go hiking, go check out Los Angeles if you're in Los Angeles. If you're not in Los Angeles, fly to Los Angeles.
Go
and
check out Venice,
everything.
where you could see
Yeah.
the exact building that they lived in.
Do you know
It's
how
still there.
much money that penthouse would have been
So
on
much.
Venice
It's
Pier?
actually a hotel now. So come
You
to
could
Venice.
stay in the same room.
I like that
Yes.
Sean's plug is Los Angeles.
I do too. That's the first time anyone's ever plugged the city we live in.
It's like an Arnold Schwarzenegger commercial. Come to California.
California.
We have awesome Pokemon in Pokemon Go. Just saying.
We do.
Yeah, no, it is pretty good out here.
So you can find us on athpod.com, where you can find all of our new articles, including Sell Your Ladies, featuring Emily Blake, and we have the Comic-Con article, which I still don't know the name of it, from Chris Ortiz, and then we have A Hype to Remember, which is our semi-weekly-ish thing where we talk about old trailers that get us excited, and we talk about how that made us feel.
Especially Brian's most recent one where he goes off the rails. He goes a little fast and furious with it. And you'll see.
I still really enjoyed writing that one. I'm going to do another one at some point. I'll probably go just as crazy with it.
Yeah.
It's fun to do. And then you can find us on Twitter, ATH_podcast, everywhere else in the world at ATH Podcast. Rate and review us on iTunes. I'm missing something, I'm sure. Email us if you want to at athpodcast@gmail.com.
Just listen.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
thanks
thank you for
listening.
listening if you made it this far.
Yeah, so I will say this. I know there's a million movie podcasts out there. We thank you for listening to this one.
Bye.
Watch out, Tucson.
Time after time.